morning again. Welcome to Still at the News Brief. This week is the 19th week of the year, and this week we have a little bit of positive change on interest rate. 30-year fixed rate, little bit went down, 5.250 from 5.375. Well, if we take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield, went down a little bit. So we want to talk about actually went up a little bit. I hope this is not a mistake. But anyway, we'll see the related article later on. And 5-year ARM also went down a little bit, and 7-year ARM also went down to 5. So if we want to use lowest interest rate, you can try 5-year ARM, which is 4.625. Okay, and then 15-year fixed is 4.499. And as we discussed last week, if the difference between 30-year fixed rate and 5-year ARM rate becomes 1%, then definitely a lot of mortgage applicant will move to 5-year ARM. Okay, but still there are a lot of people are moving to a 5-year ARM rather than 30-year fixed rate because it has a still significant difference. Okay, let's talk about the first news. It's a local news. Palisade Park, New Jersey replaces head officer with a captain suing town. Well, so far the two captains were alternating the acting police chief. And currently it has been Sean Lee. It's a Korean police officer, was acting police chief, but has some problem, looks like. So now new acting chief is Anthony Espino. And Anthony Espino is actually suing town and the captain Sean Lee. And he stepped in as acting police chief right now. Espino filed a lawsuit in March against the borough, the Palisade Park town, and Sean Lee, then acting police chief, alleging that Sean Lee continues to use his position of power in an illegal and tyrannical, 독재자처럼, abusive and disgraceful manner, which the borough has and continue to ignore with the purposeful or the deliberate indifference. And also Sergeant George Beck filed a lawsuit claiming that he has a disturbing experience with Sean Lee that began in 2016. So again, he filed a lawsuit against Sean Lee. And also his brother, Christopher Beck, recently filed a tort notice against the borough and against Sean Lee and against Michael Bittery, former police director and chief of the department. So this tort notice is required the first step before someone can file a lawsuit against a public entity, because there's a town involved. He filed the tort notice first. So next step will be filing a lawsuit. And so far, Lee served a 5-day unpaid suspension in 2020 and was ordered to attend anger management classes and attend the harassment training classes and undergo psychological evaluation for fitness of duty. That means the Sean Lee right now is undergo the physical, psychological evaluation, whether to see whether he is fit to police job or not. So it is unfortunate news. Probably a lot of Korean fellows who worked hard for Sean Lee becomes captain and becomes police chief, acting police chief, but later on he can be, he could be police chief of the police department in Palisade Park, but now, to me, it might have some serious problem to become the police chief in Palisade Park. 그 팔팍에 그 전에도 한번 우리가 리포트 해드렸지만은 지금 샨 리가 그래도 액팅 그 서장을 맡고 있었는데요. 지금 그 정식으로 서장이 선출이 안 돼서 사실은 앤토니 에스피노하고 둘이서 이렇게 얼터네이팅 하고 있었는데 지금 뭐 굉장히 좀 문제가 좀 많네요, 그죠? 그래서 앤토니 에스피노 이 사람도 캡틴인데 타운을 수를 했어요. 그리고 미스터 리도 같이 수를 했고, 그래서 지금 좀 문제가 있는데, 이제 에스피노가 파일한 그 명목은 뭐냐하면 샨 리가 일리걸하고 불법적이고 막 독재자 같고 어뷰 남용하고 이런 disgraceful manner 이렇게 이제 그 폴리스 디파트먼트를 운영하는데 타운도 그거를 무시하고 그런 이슈를 삼지 않아왔다. 그래서 이제 수를 하게 된 거고요. 그런데 또 다른 인시던트로 조지 백, 서전 조지 백이라고 이 사람도 또 샤넬리를 또 수했어요. 그 허레스먼트를 했다. 그리고 이렇게 자기가 타겟이 됐다. 이런 식으로. 그리고 그 브라더도 또 크리스토퍼 백도 지금 타운을 수를 하고 있고. 그래서 상당히 좀 힘들어지고 있는데, 그래서 샤넬리가 2020년도에 그 unpaid suspension도 당했고, anger management 클래스도 지금 들었고, 그 다음에 harassment training 클래스도 듣고 있고, 그 다음에 경찰 잡에 합당한지 심리 그 evaluation, psychological evaluation을 받고 있다. 그런 뉴스가 들어와요. 오늘 또 새롭게 뉴스가 시작이 됐습니다. Okay, next news is another local news in Manhattan. Times Square plots a new look comeback. Well, I think we have some good news. Times Square is looking to rebound. Times Square rebound from its worst economic crisis by becoming more like a Las Vegas. It's good news. Times Square got hit severely, probably worse than any other section of the Manhattan. But now, entertainment is re-emerging as a source of strength. So that's a good thing. And weekly Broadway attendance was at 90% of its pre-pandemic level in mid-April. That's good. And Times Square hotel occupancy in March was about 80% of the March 2019 level. So that looks good. And but meantime, the office occupancy across Manhattan was at just 37% of pre-pandemic level as of mid-April. So still occupancy rate is not so good. And this means Times Square is coming back faster than other part of Midtown, and then Midtowns are more dependent on office workers. For instance, Hard Rock International branded hotel opened on West 48th Street on Monday, and Planet Hollywood restaurant in Times Square closed in 2020, but they found a substantially cheaper place in 42nd Street, where they're going to open Planet Hollywood restaurant in late 2022 this year. And some investors are also buying Times Square hotels at bargain prices. There's a betting they can run a profit when more tourist returns. Okay, and MCR and Iceland Capital Group LLC last week said that they paid $330 million for the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel, about half price that probably last sold for in 2006. So if investors has know-how how to operate hotel, this is a great time to buy hotels in Manhattan, and it starts around Times Square this moment. So we're going to take a look at the foot traffic. This is average daily foot traffic counts, basically pedestrian counts in Times Square by month. This interesting graph, okay? So foot traffic, basically. Okay, so January through December, through 1 year span, but this curve shows, the top shows 2019 from January to December. So it's over daily pedestrian, daily walk traffic. Yes, can you imagine? It's 300,000. Personally, I doubt, okay, how it can be Times Square pedestrian counts can be 300,000. But anyway, the graph says so. And this is from Wall Street Journal. And it's like a June, like a summer season, it hits a 400,000 foot traffic. That's pattern in 2019. But 2020, because of pandemic, you dropped dramatically, and it becomes like less than 50,000, yeah, the foot traffic. And slowly, very painfully growing up a little bit, and it reached to 100,000 level in 2020, and it's 2021. It's getting better, and it's kind of mid 200,000 level at the 2021. Now, what about 2022? Look at this curve, okay? And the winter, of course, is smaller, but then the March is here about right now. Is close to 300,000 pedestrian, that means foot traffic. So kind of interesting. Now we are catching up year 2019 level. It's about this difference, okay? But dramatically increase in Times Square, the walking, basically foot traffic, pedestrian. Okay, so there's some encouraging news around the Times Square. 지금 Times Square 근처에 다시 사람들이 모인다 하는 뉴스가 지금 들어와 있고요. 뭐 하드락 인터내셔널 호텔 같은 게 또 열린다고 그러고 오픈하고요. 먼데이 오픈했고, 그다음에 식당, 뭐 플래닛 할리우드 레스토랑도 장소를 옮겨서 좀 싼 장소를 찾아서 지금 올해 후반부에 거기 연다 그러고, 그다음에 인베스터들은 벌써 money smell, 돈 냄새를 맡으니까 타임스퀘어 근처에 호텔을 반값에 사들였다. 쉐라톤 같은 거, 쉐라톤 뉴욕 타임스 스퀘어도 지금 반값에 사들였다는 얘기죠. 그 2006년도 대비 반값에 그걸 산 거죠. 그래서 호텔을 경영할 수 있는 노하우를 아는 사람들은 지금 벌써 시작을 하고 있다. 반값이니까 해볼 만하다. 뭐 이렇게 판단을 하는 것 같고요. Okay, next news is New report raises concerns about the plan for Penn Station renovation. Well, I think we reported this about maybe last year or so. Penn Station, under the plan right now, Penn Station, by the way, still in the New York office is nearby on 32nd Street, and Penn Station is 34th and 8th and 9th, the kind of 10th, 11th. So around that Penn Station, there's a massive Penn Station renovation project. It has 8 developments would be built around the Penn Station. The Penn Station is, they have a nickname, the biggest transit hub in the Western Hemisphere before the pandemic. So the entire Earth, the half of Western Hemisphere, it was the busiest transit hub. That's a Penn Station. And it will provide the new plan, development provide 18.3 million gross square feet of hotel, retail, and office, residential, and parking spaces. That was a plan. And the transit upgrades would include building 8 new tracks and 5 platforms south of Penn Station. And that's predominantly for NJ Trenton use connecting with New Jersey. And renovating the current station to improve pedestrian floor with the more entrances and stairwells and escalators and elevators. But now, this is a great plan, and but this Sarah Stefanski raises questions about where is the budget plan? There's no detail. This plan misses a lot of important issues. How they're going to achieve the budget, and for instance, why taxing Madison Square Garden isn't on the table. But original plan includes currently the Madison Square is above the Penn Station, right? So this Penn State, the Madison Square Garden will be moved to east, like the 6th Avenue area. Well, there was some mentioning about that, but where is the detailed plan? That's she's questioning. And how this proposal would be financed, and whether is a demand for millions of office space or not, etc. So there are some concerns, but not only Sarah Stefanski, there are some other people also showing concerns. The current plan lacks of many of important details on the total cost of the station projects and related improvements, and expected future revenues, and how the financing plan for the station renovation would work. Okay, so hopefully it can go smooth. 펜 스테이션 근처에 여러분들이 아마 아시는지 모르겠지만은 큰 빌딩 8개를 디벨롭하는 그런 프로젝트이고, 펜 스테이션 자체를 익스펜션 하는데, 펜 스테이션은 우리가 알지 모르지만 그 이름이 붙어 있는데요. 서반부에서 가장 비지한 그 트랜짓 허브이다. 서반부에서 지구촌 전체에 그렇게 크고 유명한 그 펜 스테이션인데, 그거를 이제 재개발을 한다는 얘기죠. 그런데 토탈 그 호텔, 리테일, 오피스, 레지던셜 파킹에서 토탈 아마 거의 1,830만 스퀘어 피트 정도의 스페이스를 이제 새로 지으려고 한다. 그 프로젝트가 있었는데, 그리고 뭐 트랙도 막 8개를 더 늘리고 플랫폼도 막 5개를 늘리고, 그런데 대부분 이것은 뉴저지 트랜짓하고 연결되는 그러한 거기라서 뉴저지 사람들에게는 상당히 편해지는 그러한 프로젝트인데 이 지금 그 컨선을 하는 파티가 몇 군데 있다. 돈을 어떻게 조달하고 이런 계획들이 지금 빠져 있다. 뭐 이런 거고요. 그 다음에 특별히 지금 또 멘션하는 거는 그 펜스테이션 우에 메디슨 스퀘어 가든 그 농구장, 농구 경기도 하고 하는 그 가든을 이제 옮긴다고 그랬거든요. 유가 쪽으로. 근데 그거는 왜 지금 얘기를 안 하고 있느냐, 뭐 등등 그런 컨선을 보여주고 있다고 하는 뉴스가 들어와 있고요. Okay, next news is we mentioned briefly at the beginning, bond yields fall after Powell talk. Well, so far it was going up about a week, continually the yield moving upward, okay, since last Wednesday. But till Wednesday it went up, okay. But the Fed Chair Jerom-Powell said the central bank officials weren't giving serious thought to raising short-term rates by more than 0.5 percentage point in future meeting. Well, there were rumors about increasing 0.75% in the future at one time, beyond the 0.5% increasing last week. Okay, in the future meeting, there will be one time 0.75% increase. They're going to increase 0.7% one time at once. But there was rumor, but Jerome said, no, we're not going to think about raising 0.75% at once. Okay, so he mentioned that. Then after that, the treasury yield fell down a little bit. So kind of a stable, I guess. Yields, which rise when bond prices fell, climbed early Wednesday and initially clung to gains after the Fed approved interest rate increase as it tries to fight inflation running at the highest level in decades. Okay, so the news, what they're saying is, Powell said, the Fed chair said, in the future, okay, in the future, I think a future FOMC will be held June. There were rumors saying at the meeting, Fed will raise 0.75% at once, but Jerome said, no, we are not thinking about that. So because of that, the treasury yield went down a little bit. Okay, treasury yield went down means the 30-year fixed rate mortgage will down also. Okay, so that's why constantly we're looking into bond yield, okay, treasury bond yield. I mean, you can just go Google and just type 10-year treasury yield, okay? And then always you can see what's the rate. Okay, so if you see this rate went up from last week, then you can imagine 30-year mortgage rate will go up. Okay, so you can do that. 파웰이 체어가 Fed 체어가 퓨처에 준에 있을 그 FOMC 회의에서 0.75%를 올릴 거라고 하는 루머들이 많이 있었거든요. 한 번에. 그런데 그럴 생각은 없다. 그거를 얘기한 후에 10-year treasury yield가 조금 떨어졌다. Okay. 그래서 이 파웰, 페드 체어의 이야기를 잘 인베스터들은 굉장히 신경 써서 듣죠. 이 사람이 어떻게 얘기하냐에 따라서 퓨처가 바뀌기 때문에 이자율이 출렁이기 때문에 그래서 지금 다시 조금 10-year treasury yield가 내려왔다. 안정세를 찾았다. Okay, the next news is this is interesting news to the real estate professions, and also investors, and also in general public. Okay, Zillow, everybody knows Zillow, okay? And well, real estate has been a relatively safe haven for investment dollars. That's true, okay, still true, and it's going to be true for a while. We don't see any big issue. Well, online real estate platforms held tight to this narrative amid the turbulent equity market. Well, online real estate platforms looked good, okay, looked good, but there have been many warning signs. The biggest was the Zillow's home flipping implosion in November, burst out. So Zillow shut down the flipping division, the flipping company. Zillow has this another company who does home flipping. And November, finally, it shut down because too much loss, basically. Okay, now Zillow is trying to reinvent itself as a real estate super app, facilitating, rather owning the home transactions. But investors, well, now they are concentrating on to connect agent and the buyers. That was their main business, right? Zillow site. But they tried to do home transaction business and they failed. Okay. And so they're still trying to do invent, but investors lost interest. And Zillow shares dropped to 37% this year, heading its first quarter earning report. So already this first year, they lost, their share dropped to 37%. And with the Zillow automated home flipping business sunsetting, going down, it's a premier agent business. That's what they basically do, which connects agents with their customer leads. Okay, that's what they do, right? Through the Zillow. It becomes central to its story again. So now they're concentrating on connecting the agent and customer leads. Now the economy is testing a payment model in which agents pay only when they successfully close a transaction with the Zillow lead. Well, still I don't know really detail about Zillow and agent, how it works. But anyway, the company is testing the payment model. This connected agent will get the fee after transaction closed. The transaction came from a Zillow lead. Okay. But anyway, Zillow is trying to do a lot of things, but still, with all these, still investors are buying shares of iBuying leader Opendoorlo. Okay, and Opendoorlo looks pretty good so far, but we'll see. Which will be looking to offload the 13,360 homes it had on its balance sheet at the end of first quarter, as well as another 8,066 homes under the contract to be purchased. So Opendoorlo looks good. They're doing good. Is another iBuying leader. That means generally the investors who put the money in the Zillow, they failed. So now they move into Opendoorlo, okay? Because Opendoorlo, they're doing good business, looks like. And their share, Opendoorlo's share is right now is 1.9% of MLS listed homes, okay? So still very small, but I would say it's growing. And but if we look at the overall performance, Opendoor is also trouble. If you look at this, Opendoor market value, actually they were very small, but they went to SPAC merger, they went to IPO, then sharply increased, and they were up there. Okay, this is total Opendoor market value. So stock price times number of shares, that becomes market value. So this is like a 20 billion to 15 billion. And then at this point is a Zillow exit iBuying. Zillow, they shut down the iBuying business. Since then, Opendoor also market value going down as well. See that? So right now it's somewhere here. So generally saying, this iBuying business, buying the property through internet, is going to be okay or not? We'll have to see a little bit more, okay? Because in any way, Zillow is gone, the flipping business, internet buying, iBuying business, but Opendoor is still next leader. But in 2022, they're still losing the total market value. Okay, that's what they're saying. So I don't know, investors' point of view, still you want to hold on to this Opendoor to look into when they're going to be successful. Or you rather want to move your money to other sectors, more stable, like Blackstone, for instance. Very stable throughout the year, probably 7% or 8% return. Okay. 지금 여러분들 질로 플리핑 비즈니스가 셧다운한 거는 알죠? They lost a lot of money, 그죠? 작년 11월 달에 셧다운 해가지고 이제 아이바잉 비즈니스에서 한 사람은 갔어요, 질로는. 그래서 남아있는 리더가 오픈도어인데, 그래서 많은 인베스터들이, 질로의 인베스터들이 이제 일로 옮기는 거죠. 질로는 그동안에 굉장히 이제 지금 트라이를 많이 하고 있어요. 그래서 여전히 자기네 메인 비즈니스가 커스터머 리드하고 에이전트를 연결시켜서 이제 그 에이전트가 이제 애드버타이징을 할 수 있도록 그렇게 이제 하고 있는데, 아니면 뭐 진로가 돈이 들어올 데가 없죠, 그죠? 사이트는 다 공짜고 그러니까 그걸 계속 트라이 하는데 지금 역시 인베스터들은 돈을 빼서 이제 오픈도어 쪽으로 가고 있다. 오픈도어 자체는 지금 뭐 한 13,000개 정도 홈을 지금 이제 어프로드 할 거, 팔을 거고요. 그 다음에 또 퍼스트 쿼터에 뭐 한 8,000개를 지금 언더 컨트랙에서 사들이고 있다. 이런 거라서 그 숫자적으로는 그렇게 뭐 나쁘지 않은데, 전체 지금 오픈도어가 트랜잭션이 차지하는 비중이 한 MLS에 비해서 한 1.9% 정도 된다. 그런데 진로가 한번 그렇게 당하고 나서 지금 이제 마켓 밸류를 보면요, 마켓 밸류 레벨이 뭐 20 빌리언, 15 빌리언 이렇게 보는데, 이게 지금 이 오픈도어가 IPO에 나갔고요, 스팍 머저를 통해서. 그러니까 튀어오르죠, 그 밸류가. 그래서 가다가 이때까지만 해도 잘 갔는데 진로가 여기서 셧다운 해버려요, 진로 아이바잉 비즈니스를. 그 영향인지 사람들이 이 아이바잉이 이거 안 되네, 그런 영향인지 모르지만 토탈 마켓 밸류는 지금 계속 떨어지고 있다. 그래서 여기가 지금 2022년도에. 그래서 진로가 그런 영향을 줬는지 in general 아이바잉에 대해서 그건 조금 더 두고 봐야 되지만은 하여튼 그런 상태에 있다. Okay, the next news is after 2-year run, tech sector feels post-pandemic hangover, which means the huge technology companies, including a lot of companies, right? Amazon, Netflix, Apple, etc. is a humongous technology-based companies. They're doing good for the last 2 years, but I mean during pandemic they're doing super. But now post-pandemic hangover, 조금 they are slowing down. Okay, clearly we see slowing down pattern. Okay. And global powerhouses and fledgling startups. Also, there are a lot of startups along with these giants feeling pain from a variety of economic, industry, and market factors, spawning post-pandemic turbulence. Now we're living in post-pandemic area, and a lot of things can be different now. Okay, now e-commerce is going down first quarter, and digital advertisement going down. And also other factors, electrical vehicles and ride hailing. Ride hailing means like Uber, the riding together, and all other segments. Okay. For instance, Amazon is late April reported the slowest quarterly revenue growth. We reported this news last week. First quarter they lost what? 30 billion something. Okay, so it's slow down definitely. As its e-commerce machine has decelerated recently, while the operating expenses has grown faster than sales. Well, your expense growing faster than your sales, you are in trouble. So that's Amazon's picture. And what about Netflix? Also lost subscribers during its first quarter for the first time in more than a decade. The last 10 years, Netflix doing great, but it's the first time, okay, they lost the subscribers, reduced. And also the signal that losses are set to continue. So it sounds like they have to do something. News that caused investors to shave 54 billion of its market value in one day. One day, they reduced to $54 billion. What about Apple? Apple also trouble. Apple cautioned that the resurgence of COVID-19 in China is right now a lot of places shut down because of COVID. It could threaten to hinder sales by as much as $8 billion in the current quarter. So Apple also sees some losses. Well, all of a sudden, all these tech giants, they are experiencing slowdown. So basically, that's why title is a post-pandemic hangover. And if you look at this chart, this is very interesting. Share price and index performance this year. Look at this. This is year 2022, March and May. Look at this here. It's interesting situation. S&P 500 is a black line, and the Alphabet, which is a Google. Google also, we see some other news here. And this is Amazon. The gray line is Amazon going down here. And the meta platforms, this is what? Facebook. The Facebook also kind of that pattern. And the Netflix is a severe. Okay, so all these giant tech companies is moving downward, share price and index performance. So 지금 이제 우리가 지금 얘기할 때요, 포스트 팬데믹 피리어드에 들어가 있다 이렇게 보거든요 지금. 근데 우리가 예기치 못했던 변화는 이 자이언트 tech 컴퍼니들이 영원히 잘 갈 줄 알았는데 지금 대부분이 비슷하게, 참 이상하죠? 타이밍이 비슷하게 지금 decelerating, 그러니까 revenue가 decelerating, 그러니까 increase rate이 푹 줄어드는 거죠. increase가 안 됐다는 건 아니지만 그러다 보니까 revenue가 줄어들고 그러다 보니까 expense는 그대로 있다면 결국은 profit이 줄어드는. 그래서 이제 마켓에서도 share value 마켓 밸류가 줄어든다. 뭐 이런 얘기들이 들리기 시작하는 거죠. 아마존도 그렇고 넷플릭스도 그렇고 애플도 그렇고 애플은 뭐 지금 중국의 코비드 때문에 그렇고 등등. 이제 넷플릭스는 왜 그럴까요? 이제는 코비드 때는 아주 신나게 집에 있을 때 넷플릭스가 좋았죠. 서브스크라이버가 굉장히 늘고 근데 이제는 밖으로 나돌기 시작하니까 아마도 서브스크라이버가 줄어든다. 뭐 그런 것도 있을 수 있고 아마존도 이제 이커머스에 의존하는 게 조금 줄어들지 않나. 이제 좀 타이어드해요. 이제 좀 나가고 싶고 물건을 보고 싶고 그래서 이제 쇼핑을 좀 하고 싶고 뭐 이런 것들도 이제 구글 얘기 조금 더 나오지만 디지털 애드버타이즈먼트 특히 유튜브 얘기도 나오는데 슬로우 다운해요. 이상하게. 왜 이렇게 한꺼번에 전부 이런 테크 컴퍼니들 자이언트들이 슬로우 다운 되는지는 글쎄요. 우리 변화의 시대를 또 한번 겪고 가는 거 아닌가 그런 생각이 들고요. 오케이, Google immunity doesn't hold. 구글은 여태까지 불경기가 없다. 뭐 이렇게 지금 얘기를 해왔는데 resilient 하지만은 그러나 not bulletproof다. 총알도 막을 수 있는 그런 거는 아니다. 그런 지금 얘기들이 나오고 있어서 구글도 지금 역시 좀 안 좋아지고 있다. 그 메인 원인 중에 유튜브다. 유튜브가 지금 이 애드버타이즈먼트 이런 거에서 굉장히 슬로우 다운돼 있고 그런 지금 상태에 있다. 조금 전에 연결되는 뉴스인데 구글도 지금 구글에 대해서 지금 두 번째 뉴스거든요. 구글이 I'm sorry. 구글이 아니라 첫 번째는 아마존이었지만 구글도 지금 유튜브 쪽에 그렇게 지금 잘 나오고 있지를 못하다. 그러나 still 구글은 excellent shape이다. operating earning이 20 빌리언 정도. 월스트리트 저널 프로젝션, 월스트리트 그 프로젝션보다 2% 정도는 앞서고 있다. 오케이. 그 이제 애드버타이징 레버뉴는 떨어졌지만, 오케이. 그러나 지금 전체적으로 글로벌 온라인 애드 비즈니스가 going down 하니까, 그렇죠? 세컨 쿼터에도 그걸 유지할 수 있는지는 봐야 되겠다. 지금이 메이죠, 세컨 쿼터에. 그래서 역시 이 구글도 완전히 편하지는 못하다. 뷰렛 프루프는 아니다. 그런 거가 지금 뉴스가 지금 들어가 있고요. Last news is other and tech news. Tesla will develop cell phone. They said they will, and the possibility of own customized OS installation, their own operating system installation. By the way, smartphone operating system, either like iPhone or Android, is a market will grow to 12 billion in 2026 from 4.5 billion in 2019. So it's doubled, tripled in next 5 or 6 years. So that's why Tesla is going into cell phone business, and then they want to have their own customized operating system in their cell phone. That's the question. Okay, that's it for today. And I hope you enjoyed this news brief, and I will see you all next week.